Here's a look at Parliament Hill this hour, where business is set to resume after more than 6 months. Tomorrow, members of Parliament return to the House of Commons, and on Tuesday, King Charles will be there to deliver the speech from the throne. Today, the Liberals and the Conservatives are holding their caucus meetings. Hello, everyone. I'm Natasha Fatah, and you're watching CBC News Network. Rafi Bujakanyan begins our coverage from Ottawa. So, Rafi, let's start with Prime Minister Mark Carney. He addressed the Liberal caucus just a short time ago. What did he have to say?
Well, Natasha, this was his first occasion to speak to his caucus since the election. So perhaps unsurprisingly, he wanted to get back to those results and point out how well the Liberals did in that campaign, falling just short of a majority. Have a listen.
Representation in every province, representation in the North, 169-member caucus that is the conscience of this party. You know what the issues are in your communities. You know what the priorities are of Canadians. You know the scale of responsibility that we have been given, and it is enormous. Our government has been elected to do nothing less than define a new economic and security relationship with the United States and build, and there's a lot of ands in what I'm about to say, and build the strongest economy that works for everyone. Canadians also want their life to become more affordable. They want their communities safer. We will deliver these mandates with urgency and determination.
So a bit of a mix of his legislative priorities there, but also you heard some, rapprochement to his caucus, trying to emphasize that they matter a lot to him, calling them the conscience of the party, and Carney would have reason to do that. There are people in that caucus who were cabinet ministers just a couple of months ago who got booted out in this last cabinet shuffle, the post-election one. There are MPs who perhaps had expectations of joining cabinet who did not see those dreams come true. And we know that the Liberals in their caucus meeting today are voting on the Reform Act. That is a piece of legislation that would, if passed, allow them to have say over whether a leader can stay or leave if they're unhappy with that leader's performance. It's something this party has previously rejected, that they've not availed themselves of this power. Some going into caucus today told our colleagues on Parliament Hill that they want to vote yes this time around, that this is not about Carney's performance, but more about giving themselves an option to be able to express their unhappiness with a leader. Think about the last year the Liberals had with former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. They were tanking in opinion polls. They were unhappy with that. They could not really force Trudeau's hand, and so they don't want to be in that situation again.
Let's talk about Conservative Leader Pierre Poilievre, who also spoke with his caucus today. What did he have to say?
Well, much like Carney, Pierre Poilievre went back over the election results with his caucus, pointing out that though they fell short of winning, they did increase their vote share, they did increase their seat count, and then he turned to the future, focusing on what the Conservatives want to accomplish in the House of Commons. Suggesting in his tone and his words that he's willing to work with the Liberals, but also pointing out that he really wants to make sure the Liberals pass a budget sooner rather than later. Let's take a listen to him.
His finance minister said there would be no budget this year for the first time outside of COVID in approximately 2 decades. Then the Prime Minister came out and said, well, there will be a budget, but it will be in the fall when half of the fiscal year is over. How do you budget for something that has already happened? Maybe they think that budgets will balance themselves. We need a budget to cut bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, and corporate welfare to generate the savings for lower debt, taxes, and inflation. For too long, workers and small businesses have carried this morbidly obese government on their backs. They can't afford it. They can't bear it anymore.
So Poilievre is saying he wants to force the government to pass a budget in the spring. There is not really a mechanism that allows the political opposition to do that, and Carney has been pretty clear that the budget will happen in the fall. And of course, another challenge for Poilievre is that he lost his own seat in the election, so it's quite difficult for him to be able to convince the government to do anything. He won't have that pulpit in a question period that he's used so effectively over the last couple of years as Conservative leader. It will be Andrew Scheer who will take up those duties interim in the next few weeks that will see the Parliament sit. And Poilievre is, of course, expected to run in a by-election in Alberta sometime this summer. And should he win, he would be back for the fall.
CBC's Rafi Boudjikanian in Ottawa. Thank you, Rafi.
You're welcome.